My question had an A and B. So the first part was, it came from the story you told when you were teaching about the prophet in the Old Testament who disobeyed, and then there were repercussions to his disobedience. And you said in passing that this is a little different in the New Testament. So I wondered if you could expound a little bit on that. And then the second part to my question is, I wanted to know if in the spirit, well, this also comes to another thing you mentioned when you talked about timelines, or at least that's how I understood it, that perhaps someone can see something in your past, for instance, or in your future, and I imagined it as a timeline. So I wondered if I divert from a timeline by disobeying, what happens to the original timeline? Is it still there in the spirit that I can access? And are there conditions, maybe there are some timelines that have like a time frame based on what God told you to do for, I don't know if I'm complicating my question, but that's how I had envisioned what you said, that there are timelines. And so the question is, can I go back to a timeline if I had disobeyed God on something? Yes.
You people. All these questions are coming from discernment. Yeah, I'm not so sure if I've really caught you or understood you on your first question. But let me deal with your second, and then we'll come back to the first question. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1. Ecclesiastes, right? Let's read together.
To everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under heaven.
Let's read that one more time.
To everything there is a season, to every purpose under heaven.
So, you need discernment again. To discern the season. I don't know when we were talking about timelines, were you referring to things that you needed to do? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So you need to discern, because there are things that once the season has passed, they no longer have the impact, because the impact was reserved for that particular time. There is a time for every purpose. So there was a purpose for your execution during that time. Hence, if you don't do it in that time, let me say it might be unfruitful for you to try and attempt it outside its season. Okay? But if it was something designed for your growth, if it was something meant for your benefit, for your, let me use that word, growth or development, you will still have to do it. But you may not really have the grace to be able to do it. So it's going to become, for lack of a better word, extremely difficult for you to execute that, because you're doing it in the absence of that grace. I will just speak of something here. There was a time I was speaking, I think maybe 6 years ago, 7 years ago, and I was really encouraging people to get their papers in order. Their papers in order. During that time, it was very easy to get your papers in order. Now, eventually you'll have to put your papers in order. But what might have taken you 2 days might now take you even 1 year. So you will have to persevere in the absence of grace, taking encouragement on the impact, the impact that is having on you. We know that this is the time to get saved. Paul says the time is now. But we know of people who will not receive Christ during this period of grace. And once the rapture has taken place, they still can get born again, but in the absence of grace. Will they get to heaven? Yes, but it won't be easy for them, because they will have to deny the Antichrist. With all that comes with that. In fact, the Bible speaks of them being saved by their own blood. So you need to discern that whatever I needed to do during that particular time and I did not do it, was the benefit for me? Was it for my own development, or was it something that was supposed to have an impact somewhere? Now you need to discern. Is it something for that time or not? If it is for that time and it wasn't meant to bring any development or growth within you, then it's best for you to move on and begin to ask the Lord, what do I need to do now? Rather than wasting time on your current season trying to accomplish something of the past season. And by the time you're coming to realize it, you will have several seasons to catch up with. Okay? Because even God changes his methods. And even if it was something that was supposed to do for him, it may no longer be applicable. Because he says, remember not the former things. For behold, I'm about to do a new thing. So if he does a new thing, he does it with new methods. But there are things that you still need to execute, regardless of the season. But it's important for you again to discern that this one, it will not be easy because I'm not in the grace of that particular season. Every season has its grace. And what makes things easy is you utilizing the grace of that season. Issachar had the understanding of what? Times and season, to know what Israel ought to do. So it's important for you to discern that this one, I'll still have to do it because it's for my own development, but I'll have to persevere because the grace in this season is not for this. It is for something else. Now, don't waste your time and concentrate on the thing that you are meant to do. You also have to give first priority not to the things of the past, but because there are things you also need to do in this current season. Our God is not legalistic. He's a gracious God. He's a God of a second chance. He's a God of a third chance. He's a God of a fifth chance. What you need to do above everything else is to maintain the state of your heart in your desire to please Him. Don't get caught with the mistakes of your past, because they can cripple you to be effective of the bright future that still awaits for you. Yeah. For in all things, this we know, that they work together for good, for them that love God and are called according to. You need to ask yourself, do I love God? Yes. Am I called according to His purpose? Yes. Devil, you're a liar. All things, even my mistakes. I don't know who I'm talking to. Even my mistakes, all things. All? Do what? So, learn to encourage yourself that I am wiser now. I am stronger. I am better. If it is a calling, a destiny, you also have to encourage yourself that God reveals it with time. So be patient. Don't overtake God. Don't want to get there, because God is interested more in His relationship with you than you doing things for Him. God is more interested in your relationship with Him, how you associate with Him, how you fellowship with Him, how you know Him, how He knows you. He's more interested in that than what you can do for Him. So regardless of you missing it in the past, should never rob you of your confidence in fellowship with your Father. I don't know who I'm talking to. Never rob you. Remember, He does not work with perfect people. If you're perfect, then where is His role? You appreciate Him more because He's perfecting you. He has the ability to bring perfection. That's why He says, He who began a good work. Yes, even in your past mistakes, it was still a good work in progress. He is faithful. Even when you are not faithful, He remains faithful to His purpose in you. You may lose time. You may miss the grace, but you've never lost His purpose in you. That one. Because it is Him who has deposited it in you. You didn't ask for it. That's why you were born. You wouldn't be alive if there was no purpose of God for your life. So always make sure you don't lose focus on the reason why you're alive. Number one is to fellowship with Him, to know Him. Number two, to do His will. But if He sees He might lose you, He can even take you before your time, because He's more interested in you than what you can do for Him. Learn from the past, but live in the present, focusing on the future. I'm going to say that again. Learn from the past, but live in the present, focusing on the future. I'm going to say that one more time. Learn from the past, but live in the present while focusing on the future.